Welcome to another YouTube video here at Blue Duck Fantasy Football. Today we're going to be doing a mock draft, so make sure to subscribe to the channel as we plan on posting 2 mock drafts every Monday up until the season starts. And if there's a mock draft that you want to see, whether it be super flex, more teams, less teams, specific scoring, and different pick number, make sure to leave a comment below and we'll add it to the list. We do this for you after all, so make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and let's jump right into today's mock draft. Alright, so today's mock draft using the FantasyPros Draft Wizard will be a 12-team PPR with starting formation of 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receivers only, 1 tight end, 1 flex, and we like to have as many bench spots as we have starters, so that's 7. No kickers, no defenses. If you're drafting with kickers and defenses, those are just your 2 last picks of the draft, and we don't talk about kickers here, so we're going to move right into here. We're going to randomize the draft position, and we are going to get pick number 5. So we should be able to get a decent running back to start off. All right, so they've updated it for this year. They're asking me to take a tour, close out of that, and let's get right into it. So pretty easy pick here. It's going to be Ezekiel Elliott. Glad that Michael Thomas went here at pick 1.04, so we're going to draft him. He's already tested positive for COVID-19, so I'm thinking that might be a good thing come season time, but who knows? Nobody knows exactly how this ailment goes, so now we have a decision to make. Do we want to go wide receiver, or do we want to go running back, or do we possibly want to go with one of the tight ends, either Kelsey or Kittle? I like Josh Jacobs. Allen Robinson's a solid PPR play. And the wide receivers are going to... We do have a pick not that far away. We could get someone like Odell Beckham, whereas the running backs tend to fall off. The pick here is going to be Josh Jacobs. He seems to be the last guy left of this tier. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not a fan. Todd Gurley, nowhere near Josh Jacobs. I do like Chris Carson, but they'll go much later. So we'll go with Josh Jacobs here, start running back for this draft. Now it's back to us, and we should be able to get a top-end wide receiver. Both of the tight ends went, so we're not looking at Ertz or Andrews this early. We are looking specifically at wide receiver now, and this is a PPR league. Just going to quickly go to my rankings, which you can find at Blue Duck Fantasy. Wide receiver, PPR. And I'm going to sort by my rankings. We have mine, Matt, and Mr. Black's rankings. So even in PPR, it looks like I have Mike Evans quite high. And that will be the pick here. Just going to move this aside for now. So Mike Evans is going to be the pick. Next closest, I guess, would have been Amari Cooper, who's a couple spots behind. Kenny Golladay is already gone. So we'll get Mike Evans. And now we're going to be waiting a while until our next pick. And it's going to be possibly some slim pickings here at wide receiver, as we're down to Calvin Ridley as the best guy. But there is a player that I really like, and that's DJ Chark. Add him to the list here. Mark Andrews is tempting as well. Looking at the ranks here, we have this pick. DJ Chark has a better chance of coming back to us than Mark Andrews. So we're going to gamble and pick Mark Andrews in hopes that DJ Chark is going to come back to us later on. We could miss on that and really hurt ourselves, because then the wide receiver really drops off. We'd be looking at a Stephon Diggs. So you know what? We'll go with DJ Chark. I've changed my mind. I don't want to risk it. DJ, please. And Mark Andrews goes the pick before it gets back to us. So now we're in a PPR league. We need to fill out the flex spot. We're going to wait on tight end now. Not interested in Waller. There's going to be a lot more mouths to feed in Oakland this year. Ingram has the same problem in New York. I like Henry, and I'd be happy getting him or Hurst, but not at this point. So the decision comes down to who do we want in the flex. Do we want a wide receiver? Best available are Devontae Parker, DK Metcalf. The highest on my list on BlueDuckFantasy.com is going to be Stephon Diggs, unless they have Jarvis Landry somewhere. No, he's already went. Okay, so it would be Stephon Diggs. At running back, I do like Kareem Hunt a lot, especially in PPR formats. Jonathan Taylor's not somebody I'm going to take a risk on at this point, although it wouldn't be the worst pick. Ingram might have a reduced role, so it's a bit scary there. I'm thinking wide receivers where we're going to go, and I'm thinking Stephon Diggs is going to be the pick over, I guess Tyler Wood or Parker would be the next ones on my list here. So Stephon Diggs, welcome to the team. So through 5, our team has 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and there goes Kareem Hunt. So we missed out on Kareem Hunt. Now we're looking to get some upside talent. Is it time to think quarterback? Maybe. Dak's an interesting pick here. And he's staying up there. Tight end, Henry went, so we're getting down to having 7 tight ends off the board, so 5 more to go. Still be happy with a guy like Noah Fant as well, so no rush there. But I'm thinking in quarterback, there's going to be a drop-off after Dak Prescott here. Not a big fan of Russell Wilson. I definitely don't mind any of these guys in here, but they're just a tier below Dak Prescott. So I'm going to take Prescott much earlier than I would normally take a quarterback in a draft. But because this is 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers only, our starting roster is pretty much full. And the players that we'd be looking at, David Montgomery, not overly exciting. Who knows what's going to happen with Monster now asking for a trade. Swift, nobody stands out here to saying, I need to get this guy. So we're going to go with quarterback. And Dak Prescott, welcome to the team. It's our 6th round pick, and we'll pick early here in the 7th. And we'll start looking for some upside players. Julian Edelman is our player they're requesting, and we're just going to go over here and dismiss him completely because I don't want no shares of Julian Edelman. He's a product of Tom Brady, who's no longer there. So let's see who's the best available player here. It's saying Raheem Mostert. Not the worst pick, but not overly exciting. Going down the list, a player like Damian Williams is somebody that I like. J.K. Dobbins definitely has some upside. Same with Swift, but you see the ADP here. There's a big difference. Kerryon Johnson's still there, so there's no guarantee Swift is going to be the guy. I'm thinking as we grab our tight end, because I do like Hurst a lot more than these names. I feel like he's in the tier above here. So we'll grab Hurst. And we've completed our starting rotation with 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, one of which is in the flex, and a tight end. So we have our starting lineup set, and you can check out the rosters up here. There it is. So now we're just looking at bench spots. So one thing we're not interested in getting right now, or probably at all in this draft, is a backup quarterback and a backup tight end. We have a fantastic quarterback, and we spent a lot of draft capital on that quarterback, so we're not going to be looking to get another one because they are never going to play. So let's get some high upside players to fill out this bench. Did we miss on Damian Williams, or is he still available? He's still available. Let's just add him again. So looking through the list here, the top guys, James White, not interested. Don't need a quarterback. Christian Kirk, I don't see it this season. I think there's too many mouths to feed in Arizona, and I just don't see the upside being there. John Brown with Stephon Diggs. He would be a good handcuff to Stephon Diggs, especially with the comments coming out this week. Stephon Diggs not overly comfortable playing football during COVID-19, the pandemic that we're dealing with. We're mock drafting in July. If this was a real draft that we were doing in late August or September, and that was his decision, he was potentially still leaning that he was going to try and play, but maybe not comfortable. This would be a decent handcuff. Finished inside the top 20 wide receivers last year. Jamison Crowder is a nice name with a nice high floor, especially in PPR. And we do need another guy. So I'm just taking a look at my rankings here to see if there's anybody I like more. And there are some young players that I do like more. And Sterling Shepard. I'm going to go with Jamison Crowder here. This is a nice, safe, high floor player. And then we'll look to grab Damian Williams coming back the other way. Give us another guy who I believe is going to have a great season. A lot of people are thinking that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be the guy. But they're going to be sticking with Damian Williams, and we missed out on Damian Williams. Perhaps we should have went for him there, and because Sterling Shepard would have been another option at wide receiver. So now we're looking running back or wide receiver, and that's basically what we're going to be doing the rest of this draft, is just looking at running backs or wide receivers that have some upside. Don't really need another Sterling Shepard since we have Jameson Crowder, and they're both going to be, fairly safe players. Phillip Lindsay could be good, especially if there's an injury to Melvin Gordon. Sony Michel here in PPR, less appealing. In standard would be much more appealing. Kerryon Johnson, Marlon Mack is a player I like as well. Gonna grab Marlon Mack. I don't see them going away from him, at least early in the season. So we might have a player that hops off and gets off to a hot start that we can then trade. So we'll add him to the team and won't be picking again for a while. And like I said, we're going to be looking for now some high upside players. We've gotten a couple of players that I like that are fairly safe, but now it's time to start going for the upside guys. So here's an upside guy. Zach Moss could take over that lead role. Alexander Matheson, if there's any type of holdout from Dalvin Cook, he becomes a huge player. But again, this is more of a pick you're going to be making when you get to your drafts in August or July. Right now, I'm assuming that holdout is going to be taken care of. But here's a player I really like, and that's N'Keal Harry. New quarterback, most likely going to be a pretty different system. Have high hopes for N'Keal Harry to do something this season and become the lead wide receiver there. So we're going to take a shot on N'Keal Harry. Kerryon Johnson up there. He's had 2 years and he hasn't been able to stay healthy. It's not a bad pick, but the Lions have always struggled to run the ball, and it's definitely going to be a committee with Swift there. So hurts both their values this season. So we got the 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th pick left. And Zach Moss is staring me right in the face. I'm just going to take a look to see. Denzel Mims is a player that I really like, one of the rookies that I'm highest on. We already did grab Jameson Crowder, so we'll be grabbing another player from the same team, which is fine. I'm not looking at a backup quarterback. Zach Moss, though, I think the upside here is just too big. He's playing with Devin Singletary, and I know Zach Moss is an injury risk himself, but if there is an injury to Devin Singletary, he becomes a lead back there and could take over that role and just run with it and be the guy rest of the season, whereas Singletary would just be more of a third down pass catching back. So we'll get Zach Moss. And we'll take a quick look at our team before our next pick. All right, so here's our roster. 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and we have the extra wide receiver here in the flex. So 3 more picks. As mentioned, we're not doing kickers or defenses. Don't need a backup quarterback. Not overly interested in a backup tight end, although they're trying to put Mike Gesicki on us. Going to be going with Denzel Mims here. It's time to look for those high upside guys, and Denzel Mims is one of them. Paris Campbell is another one. Let's draft Denzel Mims. If you watch any of my content, you've definitely seen how high I am on Denzel Mims, so that's why we're grabbing him there. Back to look at the team. Running back could be better, but we're not going to force a position here. Whatever best available is what we're going to go with. Noah Fant, kind of interesting. Could be a high ceiling type of player. And Hayden Hurst is on a new team. How many tight ends have been picked from? Well, he's ranked 14th, which is a bit low for him. I think the upside on a player like Noah Fant compared to the other players in here is quite high. Like you see a Brandon Ayuk, his ceiling isn't that high. Same with Hunter Renfrow. Al Lazard is a player who could have one. Paris Campbell as well. Those are a couple guys who could have a higher ceiling, but you can see here that they don't have Noah Fant that high either on this list. Irv Smith probably needs another year. Corey Davis, interesting player. I'm going to go with Noah Fant because I think the upside is just there with him. And I know it's grabbing a second tight end, but I'm going to be looking to trade one of them as the season starts. Doesn't say they have the same buy, so that's nice. And I do prefer Fant to Gesicki. That's why we're taking him over Gesicki there. So we got the extra tight end. There goes Alan Lazard. Is there another running back we can get here? This is our last pick, or are we going to be looking at a wide receiver? One thing to maybe do here, especially in a year where it's COVID, is to grab the handcuff. I'm sure Tony Pollard has gone, and Josh Jacobs doesn't really have an actual handcuff. It'd be a committee if he went down. There's Jalen Richard, who would be part of that committee, but Lindbaum Jr. would also be a part of it. I'm not really seeing anything that stands out here at running back that has the upside that I would want. Carlos Hyde is temporary fix. Darrington Evans, interesting, because they are run first team. But I'm guessing we're going to go wide receiver, and it looks like Paris Campbell's at the top of the list. So it'd be between him and Corey Davis. A lot of people are just sleeping on Corey Davis because of the poor season he had last year and because of what A.J. Brown was able to do and what he wasn't able to do. But we'll go in a different direction. We'll play Paris Campbell. The reason why we like him is because he'll be playing with Phillip Rivers, who's always liked the short area passes. Just ask Keenan Allen. And depending on what they do with Nyheim Hines and the running backs, Paris Campbell could fill a bit of the Eckler role that Rivers relied upon greatly in Los Angeles. So it's going to be the slot receiver there. It's his PPR. Will possibly leave the team in not in carries, but in receptions this season. So Paris Campbell, last pick of the draft. And I'm sure we got a terrible score. Whenever you're doing these, don't worry about the scores you get because it's based off their rankings. And, well, their rankings are not correct. So this is our team. We got Dak Prescott at quarterback, Ezekiel Elliott and Josh Jacobs at running backs. Those were our first two picks. Mike Evans and DJ Chark at wide receiver. Quite happy with those two. Hayden Hurst at tight end. Good. Stephon Diggs in the flex. Solid. Crowder was probably the mistake pick where we should have went with Damian Williams. And Marlon Mack I like. Then we went with some high upside players. Every single player in that bottom five is high upside. So you can see when you look at the lineup, there's a backup wide receiver and a backup running back to fill in for bye weeks or injuries, and the rest of the players we're basically shooting for the moon with. We'll see within 2 weeks whether or not Paris Campbell is a big part of that Colts offense, and if he's not, we'll be able to drop him. A player like Denzel Mims will probably get more time. N'Keal Harry will be starting, and Zach Moss is another player who he could show it in 2 weeks, but it'll probably take longer, and an injury always boosts them up. So that's it. That's the team. Any questions, any comments, leave them below. And that's it.